So, good morning and welcome to this week's Breakfast with Mike. And this week, we're going to talk about leads. The reason we're going to talk about leads is because I don't think we're getting enough. Now, here's what I would like you to do. Before we start, I want you to ask yourself a question. Don't give me the answer. I already know. But I want you to ask yourself one question. Did you close at least the amount of deals you planned to close in 2024? So a year ago, when you were looking at and you said, okay, this is how many closings I want to have, did you close at least that amount? And if the answer is no, then I'm going to say to you, you don't have enough leads. Now, here's the one thing that's also true. Leads are just leads. I never met anybody in real estate that got out of the business because they had too many leads. That's never happened. People don't get out because they got too many leads. They get out because they don't know how to convert those leads into contracts. And because they can't convert them into contracts, those contracts never have a chance to go to closing. So when we look at leads, we have to look at them for what they are. You know, they're not a needle in a haystack. They're a needle in a pile of needles in a haystack. You have to look at the leads that you're getting and realize that if you're purchasing them, the odds are that you're getting maybe a conversion rate of 1 to 3%. That's about what the numbers are, and that's being generous. I've had some people that I've tracked the lead conversion, and it's less than 1% for some companies that offer to give you leads. By the way, nobody gives you anything. If you think anybody's going to give you leads, you're missing something that's really important. And that is nobody just gives us anything. There's always got to be some give and take. So if you think about it, okay, nobody's giving you leads. You might generate something from whatever you're using, and they hand you a name, and that name says, okay, I'm thinking about moving. I've told this story before. It's probably worth telling, but it was, back a few years ago when we bought this house, I went into Home Depot to buy some paint for the bathroom. And like 2 or 3 days later, I get a call from an agent saying, I heard you thinking about moving. Now, the only way that they would have thought that, considering we had just moved in, was if they got my name from a list that Home Depot obviously sells to some of these companies. Now, by the way, Home Depot is not the only one that does it. There are many companies out there that do this type of thing, and they sell their email lists and such to these companies. And I don't know what they get paid for them. Who cares? Doesn't matter. But I'm getting this call. Well, I heard you thinking about moving. I thought, no, I was thinking about painting the bathroom. Just because I'm going to paint the bathroom doesn't mean I'm moving. But I was a lead for those people. And not just me, but that's how you get a lot of your leads. Okay? A lead is just a name. That's all it is. And if you can't convert those into contracts, they're useless. But they're easy to get, aren't they? I mean, you get bombarded with these offers. Buy these leads. Here, we'll give you these leads for free. If you don't generate at least X amount in 90 days, you don't pay nothing. I mean, there's all kinds of companies out there that are trying to sell you leads. And I say sell because even if they're offering it for nothing, it's not going to end up nothing. They'll get paid somehow. You'll pay them somehow. I've said this for a long time, okay? Top producers understand there's three ways that we get business from leads. You buy it, you develop it, or you hope it falls in your lap. The agents that are making very little money are hoping it's going to fall in their lap, which brings us down to you either buy it or develop it. Top producers develop. Now, does that mean that you don't have top producers that might be a part of Zillow or some other system, Realtor.com system or whatever? I'm sure some of them are. Are they depending on that for their livelihood? Are they depending on Zillow to provide them with enough good leads that they can convert to hit their goal? My guess would be some are, some aren't. But you got to be really good at this in order to convert those people and turn them into contracts. Some people are. Comes back to the first question that I asked you. Did you close as many deals as you planned to close at the beginning of the year? Did you hit your goal? Because if the answer is no, then you didn't have enough leads. It all starts with leads, but leads is not the problem solver. Just having leads is not the problem solver. Having enough leads that you are able to convert. So if I buy leads from one particular company and I'm not reaching my goal, maybe it's time to think about another way to get them. Now, some of you have known me for a little while. Some of you are still trying to figure out who I am. I can tell you one thing about me is I'm not normal. So don't think I am normal, because I'm not normal. There are people on this call that can definitely vouch for that. So what is it that I would suggest you start doing if you need more leads? Well, it kind of starts with that goal, doesn't it? It kind of starts with, where do I want to be at the end of 2025? If this was January 17th, 2026, and I asked you, did you hit your goal? How many of you are going to say yes? Yeah, I like the hands that go up there. So then the question would be, if you hit your goal, where did you get the leads from? Because here's what I'm going to suggest to most of you. You didn't have enough leads in 2024. And you're hoping that you're going to have enough leads in 2025, but you really haven't thought through what you're going to change. You see, the one thing that's true is, if we don't change, we're most likely to get what we've been getting. Whatever that is. What's that definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result? Most agents don't change anything. They just simply hope more business will fall in their lap. Or they'll buy another system. They'll spend more money that they don't have, hoping that that will turn into something. I don't think hope is a really good strategy. I could be wrong, but in 30 years doing this, yeah, that's one of the ones I haven't been wrong about. Hope is not a good strategy. Okay? We need a plan. And your plan needs to be figuring out from the goal that you have, how many contracts do you need? Most of you that are with me, that have been with me one-on-one, you know I'm building in 20% fall through. That's the highest fall through I've ever built in. And that's because of what's going on in today's market. Normally the fall through rate is probably 8 to 10%. Right now it's twice that. So we know we have to put 20% more homes under contract just to get the closings we want to get. In order to do that, we need people who we have converted from a lead into a client. And whether that client is a buyer client or a listing client, I know listings are the name of the game, but I don't care. Some of you just need contracts. I know that. I get that. Yeah, I want you to do more listings. Of course I do, because I know that that's going to kind of save your business if you're able to do that. I happen to personally believe that the changes that they're making right now that have been going on between DOJ and rules like TCPA and things like that, I think it's going to hurt a lot of our buyer agents. I really do. And I think that the only way that we're going to be able to compete is that we're going to have to help these buyer agents get through. We are. We're just going to have to do that. And if you're not willing to do that, get out of the way, because there's going to be people that are going to run you over, because they're going to be there to help other buyer agents. See, I don't buy into what DOJ thinks. DOJ thinks that listing agents are going to just do both sides for half the money. I don't see that happening. I think there will be some, but not the good ones. The good agents are not going to do that. They would rather train buyer agents on how to get their own contracts. And that's what you're going to need. You need more contracts. Whether it's a buyer broker agreement or listing contract, you need more of them. And if you need more of them, it starts with you need more leads. Just don't think that just because you've got leads that you're going to be productive. You're going to be busy, but you're not going to be productive. You got to be able to convert those leads into contracts. Well, let's go into the premise that you did not get enough leads in 2024. How are we going to change that? What are you going to change? I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions. Okay. Number one, look where you haven't been looking. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Look where you haven't been looking. There's somebody at tonight's dinner table that's going to make a decision to make a move. And they should probably work with you. But they don't know how to find you. So you got to find them. That's how it works. How do you find them? Well, whether it's phone calls, knocking on doors, emails, whatever, that's what you got to do. Whatever it takes. What is it Les Brown used to say? I used to love it when Les Brown would say, "You're behind on your bills and you're going to tell me you can't." It just didn't work. You're behind on your bills. You should do everything you got, everything you can do. Does that make sense? Yeah. So why aren't you doing it? Well, it's only January, Mike. Geez, I got time. No, you don't. We're not in January. We're already into March for closings. Heck, that's almost the first quarter gone. Wait, it was just Christmas. How did the first quarter go? Because you didn't work in November and December. If you had, we wouldn't be having this discussion. You'd have enough leads, and you'd be able to convert those leads into contracts. How do you convert leads into contracts? You ask a lot of questions. And the more questions you ask, the more you learn. Is this person just kicking the tires, or do they really need a house? Because it's easy to work the people that are kicking the tires. You're never going to be under any pressure to get anything done. They're just kicking the tires. But when they need a home, they need a professional. They need somebody that knows what they're doing. That's you, or should be. Where do we go for leads? Look where we haven't been looking. That's a great place to start. I happen to think that a great place to start right now to find buyer leads are expired listings. I know all the training that says call expireds, get them to drop their pricing. But I happen to be one of the believers right now that thinks that a lot of listings expired because they couldn't find a house. And if you go into realtor.com or whatever and can't find what they're looking for, well, then what happens? Nothing. That's the problem. And then they just take their house off the market. But what if you knew? What if there was this special list of homes that were not in MLS, but you have access to this very special list of people in your area who will move under the right circumstances, and only you have access to this list. And now you call an expired and you say, I understand that you took your house off the market. I was just curious if you're still thinking about moving. They say, well, we're not going to list. You say, well, it's okay. I'm not worried about the listing right now. I'm curious, if you had the opportunity, would you still want to move? Now you have to say that with the understanding that they're looking at realtor.com probably 3 or 4 times a day. If they still want to move, they're looking at realtor.com more than you do. Why? Because they're still looking for the house. And you have to be able to say, listen, let me ask you this. Are you still checking realtor.com or Zillow or any of those services to see if there's anything out there that would fit your needs? And be prepared. They're going to say there's nothing out there. That's what I thought. What if I could tell you that I have access to a list of homes that are not in Zillow, they're not in realtor.com, but I've got access to them, and one of them might be the perfect home you've been looking for. If I could find that, would you still want to move? Now I'm taking a lead, which was an expired lead, and turning it into a possible buyer broker agreement. And by the way, the back end of this is I might end up with the listing as well. To me, that's a better way of double ending a deal. I know, it's a sore subject. Everybody likes selling their own listings. I was probably, oh, wait, I already said that. I'm not normal. Well, I didn't like selling my own listings because I felt like I was shortchanging one party or the other, and I didn't like doing that. Never have. But I'll do the double end where I find them a house they're looking for, and then I'll sell their listing. That's double end for me. I hope this is making sense. Because the one thing I want you to get out of today is if you didn't hit your goal for last year, it's because of a lack of leads. Because those leads turn into contracts, turn into closings. And the bottom line is the leads that you're getting, either you're not good at converting them or they're not good potential clients. They're just looking to paint the bathroom. And they're not real. And there's a lot of them. And I hate to say it, but there's a lot of agents that are buying those leads, spending good money on those leads. And then they say to me, yeah, but those yeah, buts are not turning into contracts. Let's find some ways to turn these potential leads into contracts. Where else could you find them? Well, it could be expireds. Yeah, it could be a sale by owner doing the same thing, right? Maybe they haven't found a house yet. What about the couple who's just sitting down at the dinner table tonight thinking about making a move? How do you find them? Well, what if you started marketing for them? I know a lot of agents, when they get a listing, they advertise the home. Why don't you advertise for buyers? Why don't you start promoting yourself as somebody who can solve that problem for them? Can't find your house? I can. I've got access to a special list. And by the way, when that happens, you'll probably get some phone calls from some agents trying to figure out what you're doing. They should be here on their own. I spent a lot of time working listings. That's where most of my buyer leads came from. You want better buyer leads? Well, get more listings. Same thing. Are there people that are going to need to move in 2025? Absolutely. How do you find them? I don't care. Go knock on doors. I know there's all kinds of rules about the way you can call people. I don't remember who said it, but I always subscribe to the guy who said it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Make the call. They turn around and tell you they're on a list. Promise them you'll never call them again. But make the calls. Stop letting all this other stuff get in your way. Because that's what you're doing. You're letting all these rules and you're letting stuff get in your way. You're behind on your bills and you're letting stuff that doesn't matter get in your way. I'm going to end with this. I'm going to ask this question tomorrow at the program I'm having, and I already know what the answer is going to be, and I know what the answer would be here as well. How many of you have let's just call it a secondary income that helps you so that if you have a bad month, you don't like lose your house or your car or whatever? Now, I don't need you to put hands up or anything because I know who does and who doesn't. But as long as that secondary income is there, you're not going to do the things you need to do. You're just not. Why? Because it's difficult. This isn't this. Listen, it's simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. You need more leads. That means you need to talk to more people. It's that simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. And as long as that secondary source is sitting behind you, you don't do those difficult things. You put them off. By the way, we might have mentioned that last year at this time. And here we are a year later. What have you changed? Because if you're not willing to change, well, then nothing changes. So, what if you pretended like that secondary source of income wasn't there? I know for some of you, you don't have to pretend it isn't there. But what if you pretended it wasn't there? What would that change on your day-to-day activities? Would you put a little more urgency into those calls? Would you work maybe a little bit more time to find more leads? People don't get out of this business because they've got too many leads. And if you didn't close the deals you wanted to close last year, you didn't have enough leads. You have to make some changes to find them. Hope this has been helpful. I'm going to turn off the recording and let these guys throw a bunch of stuff at me because there's some looks that I'm getting right now that, boy, I wish you were here. I'm going to turn the recording off, though.